That's Hyo Jin Moon. Countless days and countless hours, but the message is, that's the message. I can give you some more examples, but that's the message. They're different from us. They're different from me and the spouses. In fact, part of the difficult journey, imagine this. God sends an ideal family to this planet. And part of the condition to this family is, oh, by the way, to save that family, that planet that I love, true family, you have to actually merge with them. And so some of us were picked out amongst this crowd. I come from you, and I was picked into this crowd. And I tell you, to this day, I am re-amazed all over again, particularly after many of them have grown up. Yejinim and Hyo Jin Moon, Hyun Jin Kook, they're amazing. And the doubts and misunderstandings that we all had about them when they were young. You know, when they dropped into our bucket and the corruption was swirling all around them, and we, honestly speaking, we all made the mistake of loving to talk about negative things about your children. And it hurts them. And they can read your mind. That's why when they were younger, maybe Hyo Jin would want to reach out and strangle you. Because in a way, they're feeling like, the true children feel like you're strangling them with your Cain concepts, with your self-centered thinking, with your consciousness that you don't even know who you are. You don't even know what kind of judgments you're casting upon them. Even the loving concept of, oh, if you could only be more like this Hyo Jin Moon, as the eldest son of our true family, that was his curse, was that for every one of us in this room, he had a formula for what he was supposed to be from every one of us. And on a daily basis, he had to reconfirm, no, it's God's way and my way, not your way. I will not sell out. I will not sell my soul. I will not give in. I'm not going to go to school and get straight A's and go to Harvard. Not in this environment. I would love to, actually. And Father would be pretty proud. But maybe even Father doesn't know that I don't stand a chance of doing that in 1975 in public high school, getting kicked out left and right and beat up because he was his father's son. And so instead of, giving up his ideals and saying, okay, yeah, you're right, Jin, straight A's, I should follow you. Can you imagine what a disappointment that would be if Hyo Jin Young said, oh, Jin Sung, you're right, I'll follow your lead. No, he never said that. He always said, and they all say, follow our lead. And they don't often say that to you maybe so overtly, so I want to be their John the Baptist and share something that is nothing other than what I've learned. And that is, we in this room loved Hyo Jin Moon so much, and we need to be his John the Baptist and his brothers and sisters John the Baptist. And to do that, you got to understand their importance and their depth and their being. Hyo Jin Moon took to music, rock and roll. I remember in Washington, D.C., we had a little cassette tape, and he loved rock and roll. And he and I would spend hours and hours and hours on an $89 cassette tape and an LP record player lining up your personal mix back in the 1970s. And he turned that into, and what is he feeling? It's like a first cause, a first mover, like his father and mother. The true children, when they feel something, they digest it, despite the corruption and the pollution around them. And they come to real simple conclusions or profound conclusions, and then they hold on to it with a passion. This rock and roll stuff is pretty powerful. After True Parents' birthday in February this year, and Hyung was not in good health, that morning we celebrated True Parents' birthday, and then Hyo Jin Young asked all his brothers and sisters to come to dinner. It was really an amazing dinner. As busy as each of them are, as busy of them as they express their love for True Parents, their love for the members. It's not often that we got together anymore. You should have seen the true children when they were young. Oh my God, it was like a little mini mafia. They loved each other so much, and they knew it was us against the world. Then as they grew up, you know what happened? They had to get married. I say had to because there were no qualified candidates for them. A father and mother came and were received on this world, and the most brilliant and the most artistic and the most successful and the most wonderful human beings on this planet followed our two parents at the highest level as father and mother should have been received. And their offspring, royalty or accomplishments, geniuses, high level standing of society, with all of society applauding two parents. And maybe that might have been coming upon somewhat of a worthy candidate for true children. And look what they got. They got rogues, children of societal dropouts. And boy, and it was tough because I got tricked a couple times, like we all have here in New York, especially when we watch them grow up. Because when I entered True Family, I called Hyo Jin, named Hyo Jin Hyung, and then I called all the two children Nim. And father once said to me early on, well, you're married to their older sister now, so you can't call them Nim, just call them by their first name. It still makes me cringe when I say Hyunjin and Gukjin. I want to, and in front of you, I want to say today, Hyunjin Nim, Gukjin Nim, Yejin Nim, Yunjin Nim. Because I want to delineate for you that, there's a lot of people on the stage when True Family gathers, but there's precious few of the true children left. We started with 14. We've got 10 now to lead this planet after father and mother finishes their mission to lead us into the future. And every one of them are so important. And they loved each other and they bonded with each other. And you know what caused this, we have something in divine principle called origin, separation, union. That's exactly what's going on, and that's a growth process. It's a creative process. That's what's going on in True Family. So don't worry about them. And don't criticize them or judge them. And yes, they're going to make some mistakes, but they're not actually making mistakes the way we make mistakes. They make mistakes generally once or twice, and they learn something from it very deep. But they make mistakes, and we should give them the room to make mistakes. But worse than them, though, worse than that, is the fact that they had to marry second generation, and quite unworthy ones at that. And that was very tough for them. And part of the Cain-type thinking of mine, 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 me, me, me. Isn't that what's really going on in our hearts and our mind? Honest to God, think about it. It was for me. As loving and unselfish as I wanted to be and I wanted to sound, it was all about how I looked and my grades and me, me, me. And now it's you, you, you. And it's us, us, us. But I think of them on this special day, and you have to understand that as the children became adolescents and young adults, they had to graft themselves into our community. That's the saving grace for this planet. And that was tough because we were products of the elders of our movement. And as imperfect as they were as in their love and following our true parents, and as great their efforts are, they're still Cain-type world children. And so we became representatives of our physical parents, and we ripped the True Family apart. Honest? That's what happened in the last 15 years. The family got ripped apart by the forces of outside the family. And I need to take responsibility for that. And I did that. I helped that process without even knowing I was doing that. And I thought I was being a good son-in-law. We ripped them apart. And I sometimes talked with Hyung. I said, Hyung, family is ripping apart. He said, Jin, my brothers and sisters are just like me. Don't worry. We love true parents more than you know. And more than you could fathom. And it just will come back together. And in fact, it will come back greater. One of the video clips of Hyo Jin Moon was talking about how going in all the different directions. He talked about each of my brothers and sisters are just like me and absolutely different. Hyo Jin Moon, there's something very special about these alien super children too, because what happens is, because they find it very difficult to actually communicate their heart via us, because we're handicapped. What's the next thing they turn to? Art. That's what happens. That's what we're seeing. First, we didn't know if it was a pattern or not. But Ye Jin Nim's poems, Hyo Jin Nim's poems written to rock and roll, paintings, Jung Jin's paintings. It's just amazing.